Springfield High School. So this was my first admin job, was in Springfield, Oregon. And I went to the school because it was known in the community as really one of the most racist schools in the county. I mean, I knew a lot of people of color that did not want to go to this school, and the students had to go there because of where they lived, and they just had negative experiences. And when I would come, I also was not treated very well. I used to work at juvie, and I would come with my students that went to school there because I attended IEPs and all of that. And I just saw kind of some of the inequities, which is really what made me want to become an administrator. It was this school, and this school right here holds my heart. It is a wonderful community. I absolutely love it. Was just there the other night, and just the kids are so special. So when I got to Springfield, there were 40 fights a year. The white kids and the brown and black kids did not talk to each other. Immigrant students weren't allowed to speak in their native language. There were a lot of things going on. And so I also, being the first Latina high school principal in the history of the county, wasn't really received that well at first. I had to take time and prove myself and build those relationships. And so at first I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to help transform this school? And so I got a group of kids together, and I started talking to them, and we started looking at the school. And when I brought in white kids and brown kids and black kids, and we started building relationships with one another. And so I told the students, I want you to do a research project. I want you to run around the school, go around the school, and come back in 2 weeks and tell me who holds the power in this school. Because they heard from the brown and black kids that said to them, we don't feel like this is our school. And so I said, I want you all to do this research project. Come back to me, tell me what do your teachers look like? What does the art on the walls look like? Who's in the newspaper? Who's in the student yearbook? Who are TAs? Who gets to be TAs? Who gets to participate in activities and athletics and all of this? They came back to me 2 weeks later and they said, oh my God, this is bad. And so I said, well, tell me about it. Well, Michelle, no wonder kids don't feel like they're welcomed here. They're not involved in anything. They're not in the yearbook. They're not, their little picture was in the yearbook, but those shots that you get to take with your besties and all that, they weren't represented. And so they made a whole plan, and they said, okay, you're in the yearbook. You're going to make sure that you're including students that are on IEPs, that you're including students from different cultures and races. You're in the your newspaper class. You're going to do the same. And so they ended up changing that culture of that school based on what they saw. And actually, if you look on the wall, there's a mural on that wall. That mural was painted by the students, and they said they wanted that mural on the wall, and they wanted to make it a diverse painting because they want kids to know that they're all welcome. So that mural has flags from all over the place. It has students of all different races. It has students from all different activities. And so that was just one of their projects. So as we're moving along with my student advisory committee, one day I'm sitting there and a student says, yeah, Miss G, this kid asked me for a pencil today. And he was like, this pencil's so gay. And I turned around and I said, why is the pencil gay? And he said, well, because it doesn't have an eraser. He goes, well, then just say that, use another word. Don't use the other word. And then all the kids chimed in and said, yeah, use another word. So then the kids said, I think we should do a campaign called Use Another Word. Because many times there's racial things said in the classroom, or sexist things or homophobic things, and nobody interrupts. And they go, and we think the teachers are scared to interrupt. And I go, okay, so what would you like them to do? How would you like them to handle that? And they said, well, we think that if we do this campaign, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to have conversations with them if I know they're not interrupting. However, they said, we can make this very simple for folks. We simply want them to say, use another word. So they decided to do a campaign. They stood in the hallways again for a couple of weeks, and they took tallies about how many words that they heard in the hallways or in the classrooms, how many racist words, how many homophobic words, how many cuss words. And they gathered that data and they worked with the math department. And so they came back, and racism was one of the number one words, racial words that were used in the hallways. And so based on that, they decided to create and if you go into the QR code, you'll see the whole thing of what they did. There was a article written on Rethinking Schools, in Rethinking Schools, that was written up. And so this campaign on Use Another Word ended up going district wide. All levels ended up creating their own Use Another Word campaign. They also use this campaign in other schools in other states. So California, Colorado, kids were on the news. We were able to talk to other states, whether it's radio shows or things like that. This again gave students so many skills that they were able to use. And actually, one of the students in the Use Another Word campaign is a teacher right now. The other one is a real estate agent. I mean, I stay in touch with a lot of my students, but anyway, I think this really helped to increase their skills, and it really changed the culture of Springfield High School. They created a commitment statement that teachers and all staff and all people, if they sign the statement, they'll get a free button that says Use Another Word. And all they're asking folks to do is, when they hear an offensive term or any offensive language, that you simply say, please use another word. So they set up during the breaks and lunches, they set up tables. They had the statement, and kids started, coming up, and some of them made fun of it a little bit, like, oh, if I cuss, you're gonna, which was a great opportunity for the kids to say, well, this is more than about cussing. This is about language that's harming our peers. This is about language that's creating a hostile environment in our school, and we don't want our school to be a hostile place to be. We want all of our peers to feel cared for and loved here. And so the kids were like, oh, they didn't know what to say about that. So they signed it, they bought into it. And it really did transform the school. I mean, there's students now that they're married, it's just a trip. Like, everybody just started intermingling and getting along, and so it's a very different place. So this ended up, one of the kid that first brought it up, he sent me a link. This is about 4 years ago, and he said, Miss G, did you see our Use Another Word curriculum is being used in a university in South Africa? That's how far it went.